The blank page syndrome. We have all experienced it. We don't have this grand idea or a sense of direction for a project. We start with a white canvas and we wonder, where do we start? We feel overwhelmed and a sense of instant dread overtakes our brain. So much so we tend to close our laptops, turn off our tablets and phones, and walk away. We decide that maybe this wasn't the project for me and we continue on with something else completely different. The first thing you need to know is you are not alone. Being creative is not like a light switch where you can just turn it on when you need to. That's why sometimes I have to take a day or two to find motivation for a logo project, for example. I have to just get a pencil and paper and start to sketch out ideas. Most of the time, my best ideas come from accidents or mistakes when sketching or messing around with something. Sometimes they come when watching or following other great designers on Instagram or YouTube and running across something they created that gives me a little spark or kick of inspiration of my own. It helps to know how the creative process works. I have discovered what are called inflection points in the creative process. Think of an inflection point as an aha moment of discovery. This could come from finding the right focal point for your design and building everything around that focal point. It could be the discovery of a concept when you're sketching. A line intersects another line and instantly an idea or thought or aha moment is born. Once we find an inflection point, future creative decisions can be made. There are different variations, colors, and layouts we can try. We then find ourselves unblocked and free to explore the many avenues of possibilities. We can have multiple inflection points in the creative process. You can almost compare this to the neural network of a brain, where multiple connections lead to another. One idea leads to two, which leads to four, and gives you hundreds of wonderful options. Then you find yourself with a great problem. Which of the many great creative options do I choose from? So how do we get to that first inflection point in a project, where we are no longer plagued with the question of what to do next? Of course, this is the hardest point to get to, but this lesson will go over a few different tips to help get you there and into the creative process. First of all, it is hard to teach someone how to be creative, but it is something that is in every one of you. Tapping into that creativity can be harder for some. Not all of us had people in our lives growing up to help us learn how to discover our own creativity. And some of us might even have had parents or caregivers that even discouraged creative endeavors. When I first started out in design, I would mostly do Photoshop manipulations and digital art as a way to learn the software, but also to create something that looked really exciting when I was done. Logo design and other practical, business-minded design projects do not always yield exciting end results, and so sometimes it was frustrating. As they say, one creative project can lead to another. Sometimes if you just pause and do something really fun, maybe a digital art piece for your social media profile, for example, it can help to foster that creativity for your business-minded project, logo design, whatever you're doing for a client. This allows you to spend more time in the software and gets you a little more comfortable with it. When you have an idea but cannot make it happen like you see it in your head, further study in the software can help to alleviate that problem in a lot of the cases. A lot of creative blocks come from not knowing the full capabilities and tools of the software you're using. I think another issue that keeps us from being creative is our tendency to be a perfectionist, to create something that is perfect in the first attempt. Not only that, we put a time limit on creating a perfect design piece, and this puts so much pressure on us we run away from it. Take a deep breath. Practice makes perfect? No, practice makes better. Give yourself time for your inspiration to become a completed piece of work that you are proud of. When we have a blank page, do not be afraid to experiment. It does not have to look good right away. What you're trying to do is you're searching for that first inflection point, and you're not trying to finish the design in one sit down. Take, for example, this digital photo composition. I tried at least 10 different poses and photos to find my main focal point. It took a while, but once I found it, I was able to slowly build elements that supported my main focal point. In this case, the woman. I built all the shapes around her and tried to add text and design elements that never overpowered her as the main focal point. This allowed for a smooth design process and gave me a plan to help me complete the design. Remember, every project has a purpose. It's to drive sales, gain followers, communicate a message, or spark an emotion in a viewer. Write down the main goal of your project on a sticky note or put it in an easily seen document on your computer so you can be reminded of that goal as you design and create. Like a car battery out of juice, creativity can be hard to jumpstart. So I wanted to go over some helpful tips to prepare your mind for creativity. I'll start off with a really easy one. Take a walk, a shower, or spend time completely alone in silence. My best ideas come when I'm taking a shower or I go on a walk. There are sparks of inspiration that come by thinking of nothing. I like to practice yoga at night in the dark. My mind is allowed to clear itself of clutter and allows me to slowly and patiently think through creative ideas for a project. This could be a walk in the woods or running at night for you. Take away all distractions and reduce stimulation of all of your senses, which allows you to focus on your thoughts. Do another creative task. If I need to come up with a design project, sometimes I play the piano or I draw. I do not play someone else's music, but just play what sounds nice. Or draw what I feel compelled to draw. This helps me take the pressure off to, quote unquote, perform. Right after doing a creative task, sit down to do your design task and see if it helps. This naturally leads to the next tip. Music is a powerful creativity igniter. And that is because music has a big impact on creativity. And that is because we have many areas of our brain that are tied directly to the areas that process music and sound. Have you ever listened to a song and it gave you chills up your spine? That is because music can activate areas in the brain that are connected to emotions and creativity. My biggest aha moments have come when I've gone on a run with the music on. Watch someone else be creative. Have you ever watched a YouTube tutorial on fixing something in your house and it seems so much easier watching someone else do it? Creativity works in the same way. Don't just study the final result of creativity, watch others work through the creative process. This gives you ideas and methods, but also sparks other ideas of how you may do it differently or approach things differently. Practice being creative. I've read hundreds of studies on the brain and creativity, so you don't have to. The one thing that continues to show up study after study is the word experience. Experience and confidence in your ability allows you to access creativity as a subconscious activity in your brain. Think of it like a muscle memory. Anyone who has played the guitar can understand how hard it is to switch from one chord to another when you're getting used to those awkward hand positions. After years of practice, you no longer think about your hand positions, and your brain can now focus on what chord to play next and not on how to play it. Be open to creativity striking at any moment. Inflection points can happen at any time, whether you're in software, on the screen, or off. When doing big projects, carry something around with you that allows you to speak or write down a stream of thoughts. I keep my phone nearby, and I make audio notes when I come up with new lesson ideas for a class, for example. Creativity is a learned skill, not just the genetic jackpot. According to a study on genetics and creativity conducted by the University of Nebraska of Omaha, there are some genetic influences on creativity, but it has a limited ability to predict how a person uses that creativity. What that means is anyone can overcome creative blocks, no matter what genes you were born with. This is good news for all of us who may not have had creative parents. Lastly, creativity can be exhausted. There is a point of creative exhaustion, and you need to know where that point is for you. When we feel really frustrated, perhaps wanting to smash the keyboard a little bit, those are good times to close down your laptop and take a break. I've gone on long creative binges. We're writing new content for a course or creating a brand project for a client, and there are points where it becomes emotionally exhausting. I get to the point where I want the entire project to just go away. Take my money. You can take my money back. I just want to quit. We all have deadlines, but we do build in that extra time for creative breaks in your projects. I can do a logo design in 3 hours, but not all the time. I have to build in at least a week before I feel ready to present it to the client. This allows me to breathe, and it takes the pressure off that can steal our passion, excitement, and joy for a project. Do not be intimidated by the creative process. There is not a perfect way to be creative. You'll make mistakes, but you'll learn from them. I can provide insights from my own creative journey, but you must seek out your own unique pathway. Ultimately, I think the best way to alleviate creative block is to take the pressure off yourself and learn to enjoy the act of sparking creativity. Hopefully you can start to apply these tips to your own projects and hopefully find ways to navigate through that blank page syndrome to create stunning designs.